Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the RadExpo 2022. I am Olga Pasternak-Wise. I am one of the physicians at University of Chicago. I came here from Kiev, Ukraine, and after growing up there and in Chicago, I joined UChicago a few years ago, which introduced me to this expo and has given me the opportunity to showcase the field of radiology while partnering with amazing physicians throughout the city and this year in multiple regions of the country. I want to introduce you to my partners in the planning and creating this entire expo for us this year. Dr. Joelle Wazin, she comes to us from Beirut, Lebanon. And after training in Beirut, then UChenn Medical School and University of Chicago, she became an active member in multiple societies and diversity initiatives. She's also an ex-powerlifter turned into a pandemic runner, has survived 2 half marathons, and will train for a full marathon after a successful expo symposium today. Dr. Anu Jawahar comes from Southern India, and she's currently a member at Northwestern University. She's actively developing our international pipeline, and this year has connected us to over 10 countries' radiology societies with the goals of making this virtual symposium even bigger in the coming years. In addition to taking care of her 2 kids and her fur baby, she is developing her guitar skills. And then we also have Dr. Jessie Ozaretic, who comes to us from England and is currently a pediatric neuroradiologist and fetal imager at Lurie Children's Hospital. When she's not working, web designing for the expo, or taking care of her family, she is an excellent cook, creating healthy, beautiful meals. Her baked goods and web design talents may be available for purchase after the expo. Now, truly, it is our honor. We wanted to create something unique and have a speaker that would channel some of the diversity initiatives we all stand for and try to promote. So in doing that, we thought about how when we graduate from medical school, before we all do, we take the oath of Maimonides. We promise to advocate for our patients, to do no harm, to heal the sick, and support people no matter their wealth, race, religion, or how they present to us. We promise to see the human being in the sufferer. But sometimes our own biases that are inherent to us from our upbringing biases us to those who seem different and whose experiences we may not share. And therefore, we may be unaware of their suffering. So this year, we are privileged to have Dr. Cam Hanamaikai join us from Arizona to share his story. Hopefully, it will help all of us broaden our awareness, appreciate our commonality as people, and sharpen our focus to see the humanity in others, despite appearances, especially on our most exhausting and tough days at work. So without further ado, it is with great pleasure I introduce Dr. Hanamaikai to do the keynote address. And hopefully everything with Zoom works and goes smoothly. Thank you.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Hi, Cam, yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, I'm gonna share my screen if that's okay. I hope everyone can see me. I can't see myself, so let me know if
We can see you.
you can see me.
It's a little quiet. Can you up your volume a little?
Yeah. Is that better?
A little better, yeah. Go full blast.
Here. Is that better? Hello? 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 Is that better?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Oh, perfect. All right, guys. All right, let me just get this. So my name is Dr. Hanamaikai. I am an interventional radiologist in Arizona, Chandler, Arizona. And I am excited to talk to you guys. I appreciate and respect your guys' time, and what I'm sharing with you is very, it's very sacred to me. So my hope is that it has some value for you, and I'll just get started. So let's go here. So this is me, and where I came from versus where I'm at now, very different. And so we'll just get into it. So my name is Kamalani Keakua Kamali'i Katsumi Hanamaikai I am Hawaiian, Japanese, and Navajo, and I grew up in a very poor, both social, economic, you name it. We were poor. Things like living without electricity, living without running water, a house. We grew up extremely unfortunate, and it was very hard, and not really having any goals or anything like that. That's just the way that I grew up. This is a picture of my family, and that's our 640 square foot home right there. We're 10 in my family, and so 2 rooms, a kitchen, and a front room. So I slept on the floor for probably until I was a teenager, and we were able to move. But just really rough upbringing, and when you talk about I grew up in Utah to boot, and so this really kind of demonstrates the way that I felt about my life. I mean, I lived in this paradise with good family values all around. You saw it everywhere, and I felt like my life was just so different, full of divorce and a lot of court cases. I was fostered for a year and a half, and was treated terribly by my foster family. Slept on the kitchen floor for a year and a half in a sleeping bag. Was forced to do chores, more like a servant more than a person. Moved on to being homeless from 9 to 10 and a half, and then later on joining a gang and started selling drugs from about 11 to 16. So that was my life. And for someone in that scenario, the idea of having goals in life were absolutely, they didn't exist. I believed very firmly until probably I was about 17. I believed I was going to die by the time I was 18. And those sort of feelings and circumstances that one has when you're growing up, they're actually kind of liberating, because if you have no consequence, you're just like, you know what, I'm going to be dead pretty soon, so it's fine. I can do whatever I want. It's somewhat liberating, but also dangerous. And so, growing up in this atmosphere where I felt so different, belittled. I was the kid with lice. I was the dirty kid. No one really wanted to talk to me or anything like that, because I was just an outcast. And in that light, when I was 17, something, or a few really important things happened for me. Number one was it was my own doing. Because of my actions, I got put in the hospital. My face got lacerated from my right lip all the way up into my maxilla. And I was in a hospital bed, bleeding. And it was probably about 3:30 or 4 in the morning. I was drunk, high. And my sister, who was more like my mom than my own mother, was watching me get sewn back together by an oculoplastic surgeon, and just crying. And it was probably the first time I ever felt bad in my life. And after that, I was just like, you know what, like, I don't want to live this life anymore of just sitting there, causing destruction and mayhem. I want to be something better. And so at that moment, I chose, I'm like, you know what, I'm done. I'm going to do whatever I need to basically move on. And so without sparing you the details, got out of the gang, stopped selling drugs, started going to school, and I had to deal with the consequences of my actions. And one of them was what I call my first lucky break. So I had up until that point been arrested about 14 times, and luckily they were all misdemeanors. And so, but I was going in for a case where potentially I was going to get a felony, and I was like, okay, well, that's going to just ruin the rest of my life. I can't have a future with a felony when I'm a teenager. I mean, that's ridiculous. And I remember the judge, he sat me down, and I'm sorry, I get really emotional about this because that judge gave me my life back. He had compassion on me when I didn't deserve it. I didn't. And he helped me to get in a program where I could basically do community service and other things to work off my, or I guess, make some sort of recompense for all of the bad things that I was charged for. And he helped me. So basically he said, when you turn 18, if you stay good, you stop, breaking the law, that you can have a clean record and you can move on and do whatever you want. And yeah, great guy. Without him, I would not be here, 100%. So moving on, this is one thing that I learned, luckily, I guess, by myself, which is, from that point of getting out of that situation, I started making goals. And I believe this absolutely. When you start making goals, you will, if you dedicate your life to them, they'll happen. And so what I did was, and I believe this statement, if you set your goals, keep them sacred, and dedicate your life to them, they'll happen. So I started journaling what I wanted out of my life. And when you take someone like me and you ask them, what do you want out of life? You might not even get an answer, because to really be honest, like, to sit there and say, oh, I want to be a doctor. That's like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. You want to be Superman too? You could do that, I guess, if you want to be a doctor. Going from where I came from to what I believed I really wanted out of life. It seemed like an impossibility, but I just, stuck my head down and was like, cool, I'm just going to start working towards it. Made smaller goals to get there, but journaling and writing things down helped keep me accountable for those dreams, I guess, that I had. And this is, I mean, just to see how beautiful the landscape was where I grew up. This is on the bottom left is, or I guess, yeah, the bottom left of the screen is my high school. And that's me when I served a Mormon or LDS mission in Uruguay. And then I came back to Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah, and I got an education there. And great education. So my life was on the upswing, and I was very excited about, getting closer and closer to my goals and being able to, I guess, just like you as things develop, you actually start believing that what you set for yourself, they're actually possible. And that's what started happening. And then unfortunately, my past caught up to me in a sense, in that my nephew, and this is a terrible and an unfortunate story. So this happened in November of 2009. I got accepted to medical school, and towards the end of that month, my brother Kaleo called me up and said, hey, our nephew Kekoa, he got involved in a very big drug deal, and Kekoa is 16, by the way, and we have to get him out. And so I'm like, but I can't, because I'm going to go to medical school. It's kind of my whole life, and I can't. And my brother's just like, too bad. So my brother and I walk into actually a friend of mine's brother's tattoo parlor with a gun on my hip, and every 100% belief that I would do anything and everything possible to get my nephew out of this, including shattering my own dreams, just to get him out of this drug deal. And I was very fortunate. I, talked to my friend's older brother. I'm just like, listen, man, he gets none of the benefit, but he also gets none of any consequence. And my nephew, who's again 16, somehow was able to amass $25,000 by stealing and selling other people's things to put into that as an investment. And I told him, like, he's done. No benefit, no risk. And that was very lucky for my nephew because he was able to, like a month later, the guy got busted and kept his word. Nephew stayed out of it, and it was great. But that was the last hurdle before medical school was, okay, I might be going to jail or prison just to keep my family safe. And I was willing to do it. So I am a DO. I went to AT Still University in Mesa, Arizona. And this is where my dreams really started developing. Made a lot of really good friends. That's part of our very large group of friends. And it was really nice to join a bunch of friends that actually had similar goals to myself. And in that circumstance, rather growing in medical school, developed a very ardent passion for radiology. And it was just, it was a blessing that I seldom believe that I deserve. And, I'm very lucky to be able to have in my life. And so this moves on to exactly something that I firmly believe in, aside from setting your goals and starting with yourself and building your dreams. This is, again, I don't like the person that said this, but the quote is, I think, absolute, that none of us are as good as all of us. I have a whole group of people that have supported me along my way. Guy on the top left is the oculoplastic surgeon that sewed me back together. And after I came back from my Mormon mission, he hired me as a technologist, and I was a scrub tech. I worked in his office. I made glasses. I made contacts. I did their billing. I painted our offices. Whatever he needed, I was like, I got you. My family, my resident family, coaches, my uncle, my fellowship director, and everyone. I look at this and I say, I mean, people, it's easy to say, oh, amazing person came from, but no way I made it alone. No way. And sharing just that segment of my story, there's a lot more, but this is something that I really want to get across to you guys, is that truly life is going to be filled with a lot of judgment. And I just hope that you judge justly and judge kindly. Sharing, having a little bit more time, sharing a very personal story of mine with one of my friends. His name's Bryant, and he's unfortunately dead now. He was, picturesque, perfect Mormon family guy, and had all just every possible happiness in the world. He had a great family, great home, everything, and we were best friends. And he was playing football, going to go into the NFL. Actually, he's very good and very smart, just what everyone wants out of their kid. And he got hurt, got hooked on some pain pills because they were trying to, get him to keep playing. And they actually wrote a very lengthy article about him, and then went from that to heroin, because he got cut off by his doctor once he was on pain pills, and ended up, going through decades of selling drugs, doing drugs. And, that's when I see like a heroin addict that I'm treating for like an abscess or something, I don't see, oh, great. Like, I don't sit there and say, oh, great, I got to treat this guy. Oh my gosh, like he did this to himself. I see my friend Bryant, and I'm like, like maybe this person's gone through something that I've gone through, and maybe it's in my best interest to give him a chance, just like someone gave me. So that's really what I hope from all of you, is that you have the opportunity and continue to exercise compassion, because people that come to you are, as a diagnostic or interventional radiologist, or really whatever you do, you're going to have patients that will need your compassion, and my hope is that you can exercise it. So that's all I got. I'm at work, and I set aside some time for this. So if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank
I
you,
don't
Cam,
know.
for sharing your experience. This was amazing. Like it was like very emotional for us as well. I think more people have to listen to your life journey. So it's inspiring for people who have like changed direction and like to realign themselves to path of goodness. Thank you so much for sharing with all of us here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there are like incredible comments on the chat, like how they have also aligned their life back, and like some people have like mentioned like great points, like going back like during med school, like visiting their family, like keeps them grounded and like humble. And some people have mentioned like they've used to have a journal, just like as you said, like mentioning what the goals are, why they started, to make them remind themselves like why they started and why they have to keep going. And some people mention like their children are their inspiration, like why they have to like set a good example for the future. Thank you so much. I'm sure like many of us could like relate to your story in one way or the other.
And that's something that I really do believe in. I don't believe that my story is very it's easy to feel, I guess, or understand that sort of emotion. I mean, it's very easy to say, oh wow, you came from this. One thing that I've learned is over time, I think we all suffer. And it's easy to say, oh, I was poor and I did all of this. I mean, I met so many people that I thought had like the perfect life. And then when you sit down and talk to them, I mean, one of my friends, extremely wealthy, grew up with two parents, stay-at-home mom, like everything's wonderful. And one day we were just talking and he started crying. He's like, Calm, I don't know if my family loves me. And I was just like, wow. I'm like, that's the one thing I always knew. My parents didn't give me much, but I was loved. I was loved so thoroughly. And at that point I was like, I unfairly judged so many people, just like looking at them and like, oh wow, you have everything, you should be where you're at, etc. And I came from this, and I was like, I would judge other people. And what I learned with time and throughout my life is we're all suffering. And having compassion for everyone is really the best way for all of us to be able to, in my opinion, build a better society.
I think
There-
that's incredibly true. Oh, sorry, Anu. Cam, I think it's a beautiful story. Again, that's why I really am honored for you to join us. You should also look at the chat to see everyone's comments, because I know while you were talking, people were chatting. One question is from Susan Hobbs, who's one of our partners in New York. Are you still journaling? Are you still coming up with? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I don't. I guess growing up the way that I grow up, there's no finish line for me. I don't have an end point. Right now I teach, I work full time. I'm building outpatient facilities with a bunch of primary care physicians. My wife and I are talking about starting to foster kids because my experience was terrible. And that's not an uncommon experience. So, in every aspect of my life, I want to be a positive influence. And so, that's kind of where we're going. And I don't like to sit still, because in spite of everything, I'm like, I'm so, one thing that I firmly believe in, and maybe this is one of the blessings that I have, is I always believe in myself. And so, I don't ever give that up. And it's the one thing that I relied on growing up, was I can do this if I want to. I never questioned that. And it's been helpful. And for the most part, it's been fine. But even if, I fail, I mean, I've failed so many times, but I don't give up. And the only person that can make me give up is me. And I never give up. And I think that's true of all of us. You can do whatever you want. You really can. And oftentimes we give ourselves the slack of saying, oh, it's just because of this. And oh, it's because of X circumstance that I can't do this. And the answer is, you don't want to do it if you're giving up on it. Because if you want to do it, you can do it. And I mean, I say that because I'm a perfect example of that. I don't know, I just never quit. And the thing is if no one can make you quit, you'll make it. It doesn't matter what you want. And thanks for all of the awesome comments. I appreciate, I am reading them. Questions.
One of the questions was, what were your first goals when you decided to go to med school?
Oh, here we go. First goals for when I decided to go to med school. I decided that when I was 17, and my grade point average at that point was 1.07. So my first goal was to go to as much summer school as I could and rectify the academic terror that I put on myself. And I graduated high school with a 3.52, which wasn't great, but it was enough to get me an academic scholarship to college.
Any other questions from anyone? You guys can unmute yourselves and chime in, definitely. Oh, Ramana just asked.
I see. So that's actually a misconception. Radiology has a lot of patient interaction. So something about radiology is that there is no specialty in radiology where you won't do procedures. Be it pediatrics, be it musculoskeletal, neuroradiology, you're going to see a lot of patients. And the other part of it is as an interventional radiologist, all I do is treat patients. So, and I love people. Maybe that's it's like, I love interacting with people. I have my technologists, I have my nurses. So yeah, you actually get in many ways, and this is something I firmly believe as a radiologist, we're able to affect. So let's say in a day, I read 100 studies as a diagnostic radiologist. I have treated 100 patients that day. There's not a whole lot of doctors that can say that. And as a radiologist, you get to influence diagnoses as well as therapeutic options, as simply as dictating a study. And so, I firmly believe that as a radiologist, we interact actually with more patients than a lot of providers are able to.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kim.
Absolutely.
Thank you for this awe-inspiring talk. I'm pretty sure this reached everyone, and we'll be able to actually save this talk for later for whoever didn't make it on time, because it's very, very worth it. Your story emphasizes the importance of inclusion in medicine. This is one of our main missions at the Radiology Expo. We strive to give underrepresented groups an opportunity to thrive in their career. And we've come this far thanks to so many helping hands. That is why I would like to send a big shout out to our sponsors. And I'm going to share this right now.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate everyone for participating. I'm sorry if, you know, I tell everyone I'm just a regular guy. I'm not you know, I don't really like it when people call me doctor. I'm just like, my name's Com. I'm a just a regular guy doing cool things, and, you know, very blessed to live this life. So I really appreciate all of you, you know, investing your time to listen to me. I hope that it drives the point to you that you should believe in yourself. You can do whatever you want, and to have some compassion, because that's something that, you know, I think we all look for that. We all want to have compassion given to us, and I think that reflecting that and giving that to other people is really a huge key for long-term success as well.
Agreed. And I will take it from here. I will start sharing my screen.
Cool. And then there's Mir, I can't see the whole name, for DO applying into diagnostic radiology. I think anyone that wants to get into radiology, you can. I am a DO in radiology. I'm an interventional radiologist, and, you know, I guess that's hard to get into now. Maybe I just like snuck in under the wire, but what I tell all you guys is so what I tell people, and not advertising anything, but Dartmouth puts out something called the AMSR Guide to Radiology. Read that whole thing. It's a lot of information that a lot of people smarter than me put together, that gives you the perspective of several program directors as far as questions to ask, not to ask, things to do, and it takes you from undergraduate all the way through residency. And so I read that luckily when I was you know, when I was studying to see how to interview, because I'm like, okay, I'm just, you know, if I talk the way I talk, people are going to find out that I'm just some, you know, poor scrub from nowhere. And I wanted to be able to deliver that, you know, in an interview, like that. I wanted every success I possibly could. So I would ingest that, that paper.
Wonderful. And I believe we will have also an additional session for medical students and college students to interact with multiple program directors for pearls and pitfalls about getting into residency in radiology. So hopefully that will complement what you just discussed with us, Cam.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, yeah, if there's any other questions, you guys can definitely, you know, if you email me, I'll get back to you. May not be immediately, but I promise I will. And yeah, I just appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, it's AMSR, AMSER.
Okay. So again, thank you so much, Dr. Hannah Maikai, for your talk. Moving forward, I would like to send a big shout out to our sponsors who supported our cause, and without whom we would not have been here. I would like to thank our silver sponsors, Rad Partners, South Hub Radiology, RSNA, Riverine, and the Society of Pediatric Radiology. I would also like to thank our many bronze sponsors. Please check them out on our webpage as you go through the expo hall. On that note, I would like to thank Torrance Lewis, our phenomenal IT and web design specialist, whose services are available to those interested. And thank you to Genevieve and Merle from Bacon Headland Inc., the company managing the Chicago Radiological Society. A few housekeeping points. For the first part of our meeting, we will remain on the same Zoom link, and that includes the educational sessions. And then the breakout sessions will all have their own link that you can reach on our expo hall or through the email that you received. We are also offering the chance to win prizes to participants who fill in our pre and post survey, as well as those who tweet using our RadExpo handle at RadExpo 2022 or hashtag RadExpo 2022. With that said, I will leave it to Jesse Auzeretic to take it from here.